Hello everyone! Yes, the cameo on the camera, and it is September 19th. This garden is Zone 5 in the USDA or 6A, 6B in Canada. We're going to go and I'm going to show you what's available for harvest right now. And I have my grand dog with me, Maple. She's going to make a couple of cameo appearances, I'm quite sure. The garden has been a little bit neglected this year. We've just tried to avoid a lot of the construction and haven't tended to the garden as much as usual. So you'll see some big giant weeds. You will see a little bit more chaos, but it's still so beautiful that I wanted to make sure I shared it with you. So come along, let's go check out what's ready to be harvested, and let's just enjoy what we have in front of us, because that's I think the best guidance I can give anybody is to just be present in what today is. Plan for tomorrow, but also just be thankful and grateful for everything that's in front of us. Let's go check it all out. So first off, let's just start with what was behind me. Here is the garden looking amazing. There's Maple. And the little pink chairs are still there. They do need to have a new coat of paint on them. I'll wait for next year to redo them. I do them every 2 years. What you're seeing there is a purple Vista Petunia in that beautiful, great big arrangement. I call that the feature pot. There's an obelisk that sits above it and it's lit. To either side, the right and the left, you're seeing some beautiful pink Gaura spray out of those containers. And below it, you can see that that is creeping Jenny. And it's hard to see on this side, but there is also some more of the petunia here. It's actually not purple, it's Bordeaux Vista. And then I also have the magenta color there, which is another beautiful Vista series petunia. They look much better from the other side, and I'll tell you why. When I planted these, there was some lovely yellow and purple pansies up at the front, and I decided not to move them, and I do kind of regret that because what it looks like is a little bit empty in that spot, but I'm just embracing it for what it is. On the other side here, we have another type of petunia, and I'm sorry if I can find the name of it, I will. I think I've lost the tags. But it's a white version of the same one. And you can see it's a lot more upright than some of the other ones, so it's been actually very good in this particular pot. Again, going down the bottom is some more of the creeping Jenny. There were 2 different varieties, and I'll show you what it looks like on this one. Actually, there was 3. So if I go over to this side, you can see the other ones have lived through this. There is a nice little pink variegated one and more of that magenta Vista. So not always does everything turn out the way you want it. And look, there's also a stunning little weed just popping up there. It is kind of pretty, but I think I need to get those seed heads before it becomes problematic. Let me show you what's going on behind me. So right behind me is our deck. And you can see all of the arrangements are doing spectacular. I did do a really hard trim on these arrangements here. You take the skirt off and then they'll fill from the top. So this is a combination of that Bordeaux and a white Vista series in the petunias. Coming up the top of it, you can see we have, this is a Mandevilla. This year I bought a smaller size, and I do regret it because typically by this time of year they're all the way to the top, so I won't do that again. It's not worth the $5 that you save. I do have some of my succulent arrangements. I'll show you the whole collection I have. This year I did not put any effort into it, just knowing I wasn't going to be here as much because of the construction. Look at how beautiful this arrangement is. So coming from the top, we have a zinnia that I grew from seed. We have some geraniums. This is a trailing variety. And then down at the bottom, we have some coleus. And then again, you can see same arrangements. At the bottom, of course, it's the Vista series going up into the Mandevilla. And that's Bordeaux. And I believe... Sorry, I have to figure out what the name of that whitish looking one is. It's actually got a little bit of purple in it. And then at the top we have some more geraniums trailing and an upright variety. You still have this collection. This is sat out all summer long. It's just a collection of moss and rocks made very easy to maintain. And then over here we have some more herbs. We have basil, however you want to say it. We have a bunch of different varieties of sage. Looking good. The purple did not do as well, so next year I'll just go back to my green. And then over here you can see we have the fountain. I'm so grateful right now. The trucks were all really busy and they've just stopped for a little bit, so grateful I can show you this without the sound of loud construction. Look at this beautiful rosemary standard. It's stunning. If anyone has any tips on how to overwinter a rosemary standard in a Canadian house in the winter, I would love to hear what's going to work. Typically I do buy them at Christmas time when they're shaped like a Christmas tree, and I kill them within a month. So I'm really looking forward to anybody's tips on how to make sure that those survive. Here's the herb tower. I know so many of you ask me where I got this. I got it from HomeSense years ago, and last year I paid a hefty $1 to have it all remade, and it was worth every penny. So let's go look at what's happening in the garden. And we've got all our baskets ready to go. So I carry different ones with me so I can fill them as we proceed. And I carry a knife and a pair of scissors just for the different types of things that we might need to get into. And just before we get into the garden, I just want to show you that I've got a lot of different vegetables that I have ready to pull out some of the ones that are going to be in the garden that I'll show you. And we have tons of lettuce, we have beets, and then we have a lot of seeds that didn't work out. I've double planted them, like done it twice, and they still didn't come up, but that's the way it is. You can see up on the side here, I did not do all my arrangements. I got them ready, but didn't get them done. Here, all of the plants just aren't flowering, but good news, almost at the end of the summer, we have our elephant ears looking fabulous. So again, tips on what I can do with that to overwinter it. I don't know if I saved the bulb. We'll have to figure that out, but glad to know that it finally did give me a beautiful display. Sadly, just a little too late. The archway is still doing really well. The petunias on either side have not been as vigorous. I do believe it's just because we haven't tended to the garden. I did have somebody watering a lot of time for here. We were just doing it every 2 days, and sometimes they just need a little bit more water. So we'll come in again today and we'll see what we can do to make them revive. Again, I have tried to overwinter these standards. They lasted into about February and then they all died. So if I had a big greenhouse, I would try to look after them differently, but I think we're just going to let them go. How many of you have seen that movie, It's Complicated? And Marilyn Streep comes out into the garden and it is just stunning. That has been my dream for what I would like this garden to look like. And so I would like you at this point to say, wow, this is so similar and it's just as beautiful. I know it's not, but it is kind of the dream of what the garden will look like eventually that I will plan in a future space. But I did want to show you just how gorgeous it can be at the right time. Look at how stunning this kale is. I mean, it's just beautiful. And when you compare it with these contrasting, beautiful onion spikes, it's pretty cool. Now, those are bunching onions and they are from last year. I don't know if they're edible. I don't know if they turn into kind of like leeks, but I do like the look of them. And you can see how many tomatoes are sitting here ready for us to pick. Now over here, look at how beautiful that is. And this is our cucamelon. It has been prolific and has grown all throughout the kale. And the thing is, we realized we actually don't really like the cucamelon. I'd rather just have a cucumber. They're cute, they're tiny, and the flavor is okay, but because they're individually have a skin, we just find that they don't have the same enjoyment that you get from a regular cucumber. Lots of tomatoes over here. Again, just so you realize as well, I'm just going to put the basket down. As we do things here, I try to combine different plants together. So that's why you see the cucamelons, you see the kale, and this kale is from 2020. It overwintered and I was about to cut it back and it grew from the stems, so almost like a perennial. These tomatoes all along here are self-seeded from last year, so we've got lots of new ones. We have some beautiful eggplants, and this one here you can see it's almost really past ripe, so we need to get in here and start picking. I'm also kind of surprised that I have a second show of lavender. I didn't know that was possible. I've never had that happen. We've already cut it back once, so we'll do one final cut on that to save those, and we dry all of the lavender flowers, but because they're still in such a good condition, I may actually dry them on the stalks for arrangements. Beautiful parsley, some more tomatoes. We've got a big zucchini that is got a little bit of powdery mildew, a couple of beautiful tomatoes, and you can see here we've got some beautiful, nice ripe little peppers and some green peppers. Some more peppers over here, all ripening up. More tomatoes. This is an endive, beautiful lettuce. More parsley, some celery. This is a tomatillo, which has bloomed prolifically and not produced any tomatillos. And we have a ton of pollinators, but they're just not interested in it, or maybe there's not enough sun, not sure. This is lovage. And you can see behind here I have some pretty flowers. Look at how beautiful the heads are on some of these cosmos. This one is almost like a little double cup. And then these ones here, slightly different each. And then these are zinnias mixed in. You can see different colors. And you can see this is going to be a great big bush of cosmos as well. We have a lot more peppers. These are hot banana peppers, and you can see by not picking them quick enough, some of them are actually starting to go. Let me just give you another glance at how amazing all of this kale is. You can see it's actually starting to fall into the pathway. So this is the 2020 ones that I grew from plants. Started in June. I bought them as plants. They've overwintered, exposed to the snow, sat through the snow. These ones I planted from seed in August of 2020, and these sat in a hoop house over the whole winter. So they grew, and so it's kind of interesting to see that, like, my garden is 2 years old in some places, just in terms of the abundance that's here, as well as all of my... Now, Little Miss Maple loves running through these pathways. She either does a spin right around all the quads, or she zips in and out of them, as does my other grand dog, Kiba. They just love this space. I don't know why the dogs love it so much. So there's a little bit of damage that gets done sometimes to a tomato plant that might be hanging out, and you can see over here that the grass is actually taking a bit of a beating, but it'll grow back. I'm not worried about that. I'd rather have the dogs having a great time and entertaining themselves, because they are puppies, both of them, so they need the space to run. When we had our own dog, this was all grass, so it just gives them a space to use their energy. Now, this particular zucchini has got a week left to live. I am going to come along and I'm going to cut out all of these leaves that have powdery mildew. And you can see I've been cutting them out. You just go right back to the base, and that produces a little bit more growth and vigor. So you can see I have 2 zucchinis on it and some flowers. So we're going to give it one more week and see what happens. Otherwise, it's coming out, and I'm going to use that space for all of those little plantings that you saw. We've got so much lettuce, and we've got more kale. So it's pretty interesting, all the new things that are going to come into the garden for us to be able to enjoy. Now, let me show you a couple of other plants. These back garden ones are doing amazing. Look how beautiful they are. This is amaranth. I've got 2 different varieties. You can see here that it's just actually pinking up, which is really interesting, because it wasn't doing that before. So I don't know whether it's actually adding the pink or it's becoming green because I haven't looked at it previously in the last week. So sometimes things just sort of happen really quickly. Over here, you can see this is also amaranth. It also had those beautiful long trails on it. You can see some of them are forming just right up here. And originally it was very high, and I cut them off to make arrangements. And so it's more, I would say, a fat plant than a tall plant. I should say short and broad. And this one has gone very tall with a nice thick stalk. I can't remember what this particular variety of flower was. I'm going to have to look it up. I have to say, not overly appreciative of that one. These are straw flowers, and look at how beautiful they are. And you can hear them there. They actually feel like dried flowers. And look at how interesting this is. This is all one plant. And look at all the different colors and shapes and sizes that are coming out of it. Each one seems to be unique on its own. So I'll be cutting some of those off and doing a pretty arrangement. And then over here, we have some carrots that are fattening up. I know it's a lot of weird terminology that we use in garden about like fat, short, broad. Do not take that as a reflection of my own opinions on how you identify with people. It is just the way that the language is here in the garden. Oh, I see something that is new in the last week and a half. Let me just go show you. All of these flowers just came back again. This is beautiful. You can see this whole thing in an earlier video was just covered with flowers and leaves. And the aphids came and they ate all of the leaves. And you can see they're like pretty much stripped clean. But the flowers said, not on my watch, and they're coming back. That's the pretty interesting thing. Sometimes you can have all these plants that host different animals or bugs, and then they can come back and change again. Now you can hear that the equipment has just started up again, so I'm going to go and try to show you the side and a couple more flowers before it gets too loud. Beautiful zinnias. We have some with green heads or little faces. I thought I had this one called Queen something or other that like turned from blush and green. Maybe that's it, but I haven't been overly impressed with the greens, but they do look amazing in an arrangement. They're just kind of like, it kind of surprises you that that's a flower. And look at how beautiful all of these different ones are. Different colors. I love how zinnias change color as they age. And they have different varieties, so yeah, there are different colors here. You can see there's even an orange one, which is atypical for me to actually use in my house, but I actually love them in arrangements. You can see some of them have started to fall. More pretty arrangements here. And then over here. Looking good here. Dragonwing begonia always does amazing. The coleus does really well. This is Thumbergina, which is like black-eyed Susan vine. This year we did not get any blooms on it. I used a white variety, and I will probably not do that again. If you're wondering what are in these little containers, this is strawberries. Now, somebody moved all of my flowers because of the dogs. They did take a bit of a beating, so a little less glorious to show you here, but I did want to show you that there are lots of blooms, and I will be coming here to cut these off today. And finally, on this part of the yard, you can see we've moved the planters to block the dog from being able to crawl under. And really what I've got growing in here are beans, a couple more zinnias. This is where the rest of the zinnias were. And this is my succulents. Put this beautiful little like metal window right above it just to give it a little bit more drama. Looks really lovely. We'll have to figure out what we're going to do for winter storage this year. And this is a beautiful tomato plant that my dad grew from seed from the tomato I gave him last year. So it's kind of cool. Again, just being able to save your seeds and being able to figure out how you could regrow things is beautiful. This variety here is called Sun Gold. It is one of my favorite tomatoes. It is just sweet And unfortunately, most of my sun golds did not take. So I'm disappointed, but I'm very happy that at least the one I got from my dad did really, really well. I also have a bunch of new beans that we planted a couple of weeks ago. So you can see all the small leaves that are doing really well. And I interplanted them right in with the older ones. So I've just come in here and I've picked off any of the beans that were available. I'm now going to remove any of the old leaves, and I'm going to just allow the new ones to grow as vigorously as possible. All right, let's get this harvest done before all those trucks come in, because it just allows me to have a little bit of quiet and some enjoyment in this garden space. Here's just what it looks like from the other side. If you were coming into the yard, you can see all the flowers. You can see Miss Maple. Here's that beautiful garden of veggies and flowers. And then, yeah, sorry about the hose. Very pretty, looking gorgeous. Let's just walk over here, because I wanted to show you that arrangement that we were sitting on the deck looking at, and I said that on the other side it looks pretty good. So here's what it looks like from this side, and you can see that the petunias are fabulous. So it was just really that one pansy. If I'd planted one more of these in that arrangement, I think we would have had the stuff go right around as I've done in previous years. Now, a couple weeks ago, I did give these a very hard trim. They weren't looking so great, and that really helped them look a lot better. But overall, pretty happy with the way the garden is. Sometimes you just have to accept that life is not going to go as well as you planned it, and there's other things that you chose to do instead. So we're just going to take all this beauty in. So thanks so much, everybody, for staying tuned. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. Google loves those algorithms. And do subscribe. We've got more videos coming our way. We're almost at 5,000 subscribers, which is pretty exciting. Thank you for each and every one of you for following along in the garden journey. It has been just a beautiful year of just abundance and beautiful things that have come our way. Sometimes you ask the universe for stuff and it delivers, and sometimes it delivers and you get scared. So we're still trying to figure out our next steps of whether we move or we don't move, but let me just show you the construction so you can see it. Here's what the construction looks like. You can see the building, you can see the truck that gets very stinky. Here's all of the cranes. They're huge and massive and fill the skyline. We're not sure how big this building is going to get, because this is already just one floor right here, and it's as high as 2 floors on another building. So we're just really hopeful that it's not too big. So just spend some time, give us a thumbs up, as I said, subscribe, and leave some beautiful comments, because if you have tips about how to grow that rosemary or anything else like that, just let us know, because we're all in this together and looking forward to growing our own gardens and beautiful spaces. Take care, everyone. Bye. So here's all I've harvested today. I'm only going to harvest what I can use today, because I can always go back. I did pick all the tomatoes that were ripe because they were starting to actually burst on the vine. But I picked a couple of the eggplants, which I will cut up. Some sweet banana peppers. I also have hot ones. I believe I did one hot one just to give it a little spice. We did some of the lavender that was ready to go, and some kale. So just a small little bit for us to enjoy while we have Miss Maple here in the garden with us.